At 9:35 tonight on BBC One, the Play for Today presents The Flip Side of Dominic Hyde, with Peter Firth in the title role as a time traveller who commutes between the future and the present. That's in 25 minutes after the main news with Angela Rippon.
The pop world and beyond mourn the Beatles' John Lennon, murdered in New York. The man who's said to have shot him as a 25-year-old from Hawaii. Police describe him as mentally disturbed. Meanwhile, John Lennon's New York admirers mount a vigil outside his home. Good evening. Police in New York say the man they're holding for John Lennon's murder had apparently been stalking him for some days. He'd been seen several times near the former Beatles' home, and earlier in the day he even got the pop star to autograph a record for him. It was just before 11 o'clock last night that the shooting took place. John Lennon, who was 40, was returning with his wife Yoko from a recording session. As they were entering the Dakota, the block of luxury flats where they'd lived for several years, the gunman, who was waiting in the shadows, opened fire and hit Lennon with 5 bullets. He was identified as Mark David Chapman, aged 25, from Hawaii, and he gave himself up. Neighbors rushed to help Mrs. Lennon, and she went to the hospital with her husband, but he was dead by the time they got there.
Last year, me and Matt Sergiou were having conversations about maybe doing a collab, me, Chris, Matt, about our work researching the ashes that then crossed over and dovetailed into Matt's work with the Occult Beatles and Mike Williams and Mark Devlin's work as well, and putting it all together in some kind of series. And the idea was that because we like details, me and Matt, we generally basically script all our work out, but we decided just to press record. And Matt came up with this theory about having this wheel, I christened it the Wheel of Death, with different spokes coming off it about subjects that we wanted to cover. We've covered Bertrand Russell in the first 2 or 3 parts of this Ashes Addendum, as we're calling it. And part 4, the Ashes Addendum 4, is titled Who is Yoko Ono? And this is part 1 of 2 parts. And in this part, we're getting to her background, how she met John Lennon, bloodline, and a few other interesting facts. And there will be a part 2 to this. We've already recorded that part 2, which is about an hour and a half. This is just over an hour, I think an hour and 10 minutes or so long. So I hope you enjoy it. We pick up where we left off after the Bertrand Russell one. So there's no actual intro into this one. We're straight into the detail of the background of Yoko Ono. And it takes us into some really interesting tangents and connections with other people, the intelligence services, bloodlines, as I've just mentioned, etc., etc. I hope you enjoy it.
So let's go to Yoko.
There's so many angles. I mean, Mark Devlin's brought up, and lots of other people brought up. But what's interesting is that full circle, when I was writing my book, I came across Yoko Ono in some other information that you already had as well. And that guy was called Stephen Shakespeare. And Stephen Shakespeare, real name Stephen Kowalski, because you obviously need two names. He took his wife's name, yeah. He created a company with Nadeem Zahawi, who was the 2020 Jab minister here, called YouGov. And YouGov is a data mining polling company that was quite prominent in Britain, around the world as well, during 2020, polling people, seeing reactions, just the similar thing to what we've been talking about, what they were doing in the 60s. But this is a private company that's called YouGov that was employed by the government to do this work. I forget what it's worth now on the stock market, but it's worth quite a chunk. But Stephen Shakespeare, he was part of, he co-created the Brunch Museum, which he co-created it with Fluxus artist George Brecht. George Brecht was an avant-garde composer. So we're going back to that area. Yeah. And he was born George Ellis McDiarmond of New York. And I think it was him that went to the university you're going to talk about. Where Yoko Ono went to. Yeah. So even in British politics and all that kind of, she's even linked back to that angle. And Stephen Kowalski, he was also one of Lord Archer, Geoffrey Archer, the author. I think it was called Archer's Incubator. About 7 of the major MPs who was in Boris Johnson's government was mentored by Lord Archer. And Stephen Shakespeare stroke Kowalski, his father was a media correspondent post-war, working as a liaison officer to the British Army. And a liaison officer basically went to East Berlin, and East Berlin liaison officers went to West Berlin. They were basically spies. But Yoko Ono has a similar background. I'm not saying her father was a spy, but an influential background again. Yeah. And she went to prominent schools, didn't she?
Yeah. So this all ties into the John Lennon peace thing, because what John Lennon did from about 1969 onwards, he did the bed-in, those 2 bed-ins. So what he did was he sat in bed for a week and invited the world's press for a week to come and visit him.
Can I just say something there? When we said I don't know, me and you, or when we're doing Mike, one of them was in Amsterdam, wasn't it? And one was in Montreal.
Yeah.
The one in Montreal, I said it was next door to the McGill University where they did all the mind control.
Yeah, you and Cameron, wasn't it?
Yeah, a guy made a comment. Oh, it wasn't right next door. That's three blocks away. You don't really know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But
it's close enough for me, that, right?
I know.
I would have considered 10 miles next door.
Exactly. That's just
it's terminology, isn't it? It's terminology.
Yeah. It's like when you said it, I remember you saying it at the time, and I thought, I know what he means, because coming from a Greek Cypriot background, we talk like that. When we say next door, we don't mean literally.
Yeah.
In the campus,
Yeah.
Anywhere in Canada, literally, you could have called next door at that
point. They did 2 bed. He did 2 bed-ins. One was at the Amsterdam Hilton, which was March 20th, 69, and the second one was in Montreal at the Queen Elizabeth Hotel in May 69. So there wasn't much of a gap in between the 2. And it was at the second week-long bed-in that he recorded the song "Give Peace a Chance" in the hotel room with all the people that were visiting at the time. The
press.
A
strange thing to do.
I have to say at this point, right, and I've never thought about this before. I'm looking at it on Wikipedia. It looks very staged. Yeah. I mean, I suppose if he was going to do it as a gimmick to stop Vietnam War, it would be staged, wouldn't it? Because it would be set up.
Yeah.
But the more you think about it, it just seemed like a massive shenanigans.
But did this sort of take off as in other people were doing bed-ins, or just him?
I think this is a new thing. I mean, I might be wrong. It might be an idea that from something else.
But this goes back to hippie mentality. Just lie in bed and do fuck all.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're in a Hilton.
Yeah, in a Hilton.
in a Hilton.
not in Leary's. What is it? But what it Leary? The bus, that mad bus where they're all off.
But the theory that she's his handler, he did this when he met her. So
yeah, exactly. Well, it was her idea. This all comes from her. I mean, again, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I will mention the fact that Give Peace a Chance, when he recorded that song in the hotel room at the second week-long bed-in, they did actually, something like 500,000 people did sing it outside of the White House at a anti-Vietnam War rally.
And also, Matt, I mean, I'm not, I would say that footage of him saying, why can't I use the money to put billboards up saying, peace, not war, etc.
Yeah,
he looks pretty genuine when he says that to me.
He does, and I've got a quote here, and you can maybe in post production, you guys might want to put this.
Yeah, I'll put it on. Yeah,
put it in because there's actually a clip of it. And I think the clip I'm gonna.
Is that what I'm talking about?
No, it's from 1968. So this is a year before he said. This is in an interview to the BBC. He said, I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends. If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane, but I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that, That's what's insane about it.
He's talking like us now.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I, if you want to give me, my impression of him was that he basically went off the reservation and he was trying to be held back. I think he knew what was going on, and whether whatever happened within the Beatles, i.e. Paul and things like that, he knew about this stuff. He knew. And he wasn't happy keeping quiet.
My suspicion would be, and it's only my suspicion, that he was led down that path by Yoko Ono to his supposed death or possible death or whatever happened, all for part of the show.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. And I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12 way down the line. But I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time. But now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane, but I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. That's what's insane about it. Yeah. I mean, don't you agree?
I do.
It's insane, It's not just a bit strange. It's just insane.
And that's
and nobody knows. All these people in the street and that. Half the people watching this are going to be saying, "Oh, what's he saying? What's he saying?" That you are being run by people who are insane, and you don't know.
It's quite an iconic video, that, isn't it? Who was the guy with him on that video?
Victor Spinetti, who's a film actor. He appeared in a couple of the Beatles films. He was in A Hard Day's Night. He was in the second film they did, Help. He was also in Magical Mystery Tour. He's a Welsh actor. I think, I mean, he was a well-known actor in the 60s and the 70s on British TV and films and stuff. And apparently he used to go out with Ronnie Kray as well.
As in go out with him?
Go out with him, yeah. Which one was the gay one? I've forgotten now. Was it Reggie or Ronnie? Reggie.
It was the older one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think. I think they were seeing each other for a time as well. Yeah, but he was really good friends with John Lennon. And I think, the reason they were sitting together in that interview where John Lennon talks about insane governments and so on. I think Victor Spinetti had made a stage play of one of John Lennon's poetry books, and it was being staged in London, and that was the BBC went over there to publicise the play, and in the middle of this interview publicising the play, John Lennon just went off on one and just said that.
Imagine if that were today, I mean, the Beatles were huge. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd have to be somebody.
They wouldn't be saying that, would they? Well,
No.
I suppose an equivalent of that is Kanye West, but they ended up going to a mental institution getting fried, didn't
Well,
Yes.
he's banned from other countries now. He's basically say
He's a Nazi,
yeah,
quote
he's a Nazi.
unquote. Yeah.
And even that in itself is an operation, because now you're saying a black person is a Nazi.
you know what? You don't even know what the hell's going on in that.
No, I know.
That Kanye West world there.
No.
Married Kim Kardashian.
Well, I would say he married the
weird.
level equal of Yoko Ono.
Oh yeah, a witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
David Cameron's cousin. Kardashian. David Cameron's cousin.
I'm right in saying now that Yoko Ono released an album that's saying "I am a witch."
Yes, I am a witch.
So everyone's thinking, did she mind control? You know, she's handler. She brings an album out called "I am actually."
Well, there's a song she recorded called "Kiss, Kiss, Kiss," and I might be wrong. I might be remembering this wrong. I think it's on the Double Fantasy album, the album that John and Yoko released together. Double Fantasy, as in doubles. So, as some people have expressed. But yeah, it's a song called "Kiss, Kiss, Kiss." If you play the record backwards, it sounds like it's 666.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, as another conspiracy thing, as soon as you say play the record backwards, you sound nuts, don't you?
Yeah.
As soon as you say, if you put the numbers together, you're already nuts.
Yeah. Or if you play the record backwards, it's like, wait a minute, who plays records these days? What an old.
I'd like to know what his thoughts would be if he knew that his songs were being played by New World Order operations. Like
exactly.
the UN World Economic Forum.
Exactly. Would he have been cool with that?
But also, when you think of the lyrics to Imagine, is that a New World Order song? Imagine all the people living in harmony, one religion, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Is it a New World Order song in the guise of a peace song?
I mean, a lot of these anti-war songs, who is it? Is it John Fogerty from Creedence Clearwater Revival? Not My Son or something. No, Fortunate Son. That's been used in a lot of the Vietnam War films. And a lot of adverts as well, like Gene adverts. I'm sure he didn't write that song, you know, whether it were off his tree when he were writing it. It's a good song. Thinking, I need this to be in a Gene advert in 1995 or whatever, you know.
Well, like famously, I mean, wherever you make a Bruce Springsteen, born in the USA, he's actually slagging off America.
Yeah.
Where everyone sings it as like an anthem.
I'll say one thing, Chris,
right? Yeah.
I saw John Fogerty with Bruce Springsteen at a live gig. Bruce Springsteen, the epitome of doing everything the government wanted to do. John Fogerty didn't own his own fucking records.
Right.
Yeah. And yet he's lauded as one of the best songwriters of that type of genre ever. And so Swamp Rock, I think it were called.
I'm not familiar with him, John Fogerty.
You should hear his voice. You'll know which song I mean. From a rock perspective. But you listen to him singing, right? And you think, well, none of the Beatles or these guys can actually sing like that. Yeah. They were like a white
but like you said,
singer.
Bruce Springsteen's the epitome of like a rebel, but absolutely not a rebel at all.
Yeah, absolutely not.
He's total system operator, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Which is a shame. But...
Which again, going back to John Lennon, maybe that's what they were trying to make him into, a similar type of character, a system operator that just didn't want to. They couldn't control him.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because I mean, at the time that he was doing the bed-ins in 1969, he was criticised for it. Apparently, from what I understand, there were elements within the media, the mainstream media, that were actually criticising him for it. So, you know, suggesting that, hey, you know, John Lennon is one of the most influential people of our generation, and he's using that influence, he's kind of wasting it by sitting in a bed. So there were people who were actually at the time within the mainstream who...
Or that was being used to draw people to him because he was being a rebel.
Well, either way, it's getting attention, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could also say, again, I'm not trying to defend him. To look at it from another perspective, it could be that he actually turned a lot of people on to what was going on geopolitically, not only in Vietnam, but elsewhere. But because a lot of his fans may not have been switched on to world affairs.
Yeah.
We're talking Beatles fans, teeny boppers. You know, he might have been the first. He might have been
As
the
we
first
know, Matt,
person
right?
that opened their minds to that way of thinking.
As we know, these operations have a tendency, not everything, like 2020, for instance, that woke a lot of people up. So the downside with having John Lennon talk about the Vietnam War is it's going to make people aware of the atrocities that are going on as well,
Yeah.
and make them realise. But the 90%, they're still going to be able to control a lot more people. They're probably aware that it's going to awaken or
The thing is, as we've all talked about, these think tanks behind this stuff, we ain't got a fucking clue, have they? I mean, the psychological, you know, how they know where. I mean, John Lennon, there's a few options, isn't there? One is he was an innocent bystander, you know, pushed by a Yoko Ono. Another one is everything's a facade, the whole lot. Yeah. And, you know, there's about 5 different versions of events here, isn't there?
Do you know what, Chris? One thing I noticed when I was writing my book, that there are actually NGOs within NGOs within NGOs. A lot of these people.
I can't say I'm surprised.
I can't. No, I'm
start
not
an
surprised
NGO
either.
up, right? And you think, what, another far right NGO, you know, or another far left NGO?
Like, isn't that how it works? I mean, it's like the pyramid. You know, the pyramid of power. Within the pyramid, there are pyramids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So one pyramid doesn't know what the other pyramid is doing. They're all working independently of each other, not knowing that they exist.
As a classic, when I remember finding out years ago that Jackson Pollock is he the splatter painting guy?
Yeah, the CIA.
He was just CIA operation. And you know, when you try and you think, you ever you know, that and the woman who was involved in feminism, those are quite shocking, aren't they? Because you can't get your head around what's the angle here. I don't understand what the angle is, you know. But then in 1984, O'Brien turns out to be, you know, the main guy for the party, but he's actually he's part of the rebellion. You're like, so someone in the think tank is what I'm trying to say. Sits here and thinks we need that person to be there. And then the populace will react this way to that situation, kind of thing.
I mean, that's amazing in itself, isn't it, Chris? That there's actually people in the think tank that you don't know about that says we need to push somebody famous in front of the camera, and then they come up with
and to say what everyone wants to hear.
Yeah.
But our point is they'll hear what they want to hear, but then it'll work in our favour in the long run, kind of.
We can see, as part of these marketing agencies like Edward Bernays, for instance, that is the thought process. That's how they think to control people. You know?
Well, they use neuroscientists.
Yes.
In advertising, and I didn't know this stupidly until a few weeks ago, and I was just scrolling through my LinkedIn page. Yes, I'm so important. I've got a LinkedIn page.
I know you missed away. I feel a little bit important because
And this thing came up with this bloke. He was a neuroscientist, and he worked for an advertising company, and he was watching a Pringles ad. And he was analysing it and doing a live not a live commentary, but you could see him on the video watching the advert and commenting on what he was seeing. Okay, and he was telling you how it was working, how the brain was seeing it, and how it would affect the brain. The person would watch the advert and how they would succumb to its power, you know. And he was a neuroscientist, and he had a link under his post, and I pressed on it, and he runs a company, and it's just full of neuroscientists, and their job is advertising. And that's just fucking hell.
He's not called Crowley, is he?
Well, there might be. Well, you never know.
It reminds you of that Bill Hicks sketch, doesn't it? When he says, "Oh, you're advertising. Go and kill yourself." He goes, "Oh no, and the advertiser, no, he doesn't mean that. What he's going for is the so and so." No, I fucking mean it. Kill yourself. No, he's going for the shock angle. That's what he's going for.
But going back to what you're saying, though, I mean, if you could say that these think tanks are thinking, yeah, okay, John Lennon's got this huge push, it's this huge pull, I should say, of bringing in young people to his, you know, to his way of thinking. How can we use that in the anti-war movement to cheapen it? Well, like you say, let's have him sitting in a bed doing nothing.
Yes.
And make it look like it's a joke. Make it look like it's cheap.
Dressed in white as well. We're all white, wasn't it? That's
what I
remember
all white.
From that.
Yeah. Just sitting in a bed for a week doing nothing.
All that colour from that psychedelica, and they're dressed in white.
Which in Asian country means death, doesn't it?
And that was very much Yoko as well. They had a house in England. I think if you watch the Imagine video, the song Imagine, it's a completely white.
Correct,
white he's piano, sitting in that room, white piano, white room. Yeah, that was their house in
white flared suit. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, that's all Yoko. She was obsessed with white.
But in Asia, white means death, whereas black in England is death.
Oh, I never knew that. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
I only know that because I used, yeah. You do, well, I know in China it does. I'm guessing probably
Japan it does as well, probably.
Yeah. So another thing that John Lennon did was in 1969 he returned his MBE back. He'd got an MBE, short for Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, which
Member
is
of the British Empire.
Something like that. He and the other Beatles got one in 1965, and he returned it in 1969 towards the end of 69. With a letter, and he published the letter, and it stated, "Your Majesty, I am returning my MBE as a protest against Britain's involvement in the Nigeria Biafra thing, against our support of America and Vietnam, and against Cold Turkey, my single, slipping down the charts. With love, John Lennon."
That's pretty good.
Good,
yeah, it's good.
Do you know, I deep down, but I'd love to think you were on our side.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I do.
Well, I did a podcast with Mark the other day, and we spoke about this before, Chris. That there has to be people on the inside. He actually, Mark said that somebody from EastEnders once sent him an email. It was one of the producers or film guys who said basically there's quite a few people in here that think like you do. Keep up the good work.
It's got to be, hasn't it?
I mean, we're talking of EastEnders here, and he had names. He's got names as Mark. But
Phil Mitchell.
He would. That bird. Riggy. That bird was.
Oh no, where's my Willie?
Daniela Westbrook, no doubt.
Half a face missing.
Predator. But what I'm trying to say is there must be people within. Maybe they're the ones that are publishing these bloodlines or coming up with this thing to get Jack Osborne to say my dad's not a plumber or whatever it might be. Maybe they're the ones inserting these things. And
I don't know.
Yeah, but then didn't ever be.
The law of averages says there has to be. There just has to be.
I always think of that. I've mentioned this before. I always think of that Office. The American Office. Me and Mrs. watched it a few years ago. And in it, one of them's having a child. And in the background, one of the characters goes, "Don't get vaccinated."
Right.
And it's just like a...
In what way? What?
No, she's pronounced, she's pregnant, the main character. It's in the American version of The Office. And someone in the background, there's just a background voice shouts out, "Don't get it vaccinated."
Oh, right. So you don't see the person saying
Well,
that,
it's
right?
one of the people in the office, and then it just carries on. But it's not focused upon, but you hear that voice shout out, "Don't get it vaccinated."
Right.
And I just remember the time thinking, like you said, Dom, is that someone like that slipped through on purpose? Why is it in there? Is there any reason? There's no reason. It's not part of the story or anything.
Yeah.
It's a very
I wonder if a neuroscientist has been asked to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If we say that, then more will get vaccinated.
Exactly.
Because we're using comedy, and if comedy, that means it's the opposite of everything.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know, do you? You don't. I don't know anyway. You don't know.
I can't fix my opinion anymore because it's
I
been changed that many times now.
Yeah.
But
stuff. Well, this brings us full circle, actually, this Nigeria Biafra thing that John Lennon refers to in that when he sent his MBE back and the letter he sent with it. And when he's referring to the Nigeria Biafra thing, he was talking there about the civil war that was going on at the time, because I think Biafra had broken away from Nigeria and from its rule, if you like, and it became a republic in 1967, and there was a lot of carnage after that, a lot of deaths. There
was a famine as well, wasn't there?
There was a famine as well, but this kind of brings us back to Bertrand Russell, and this is something else that I've learned since the last time we did this, was that Bertrand Russell learned about this letter that he'd sent back, because apparently John Lennon got a lot of criticism in the press again for doing this. Everyone was criticizing him for being an idiot, an attention-seeking pop star trying to So Bertrand Russell wrote to John Lennon, from what I understand, and there's a website I found, and it's got a quote from that letter, and I don't know if this is real because I couldn't verify it, but in this letter, Bertrand Russell says to John Lennon, "Whatever abuse you have suffered in the press, As a result of this, I am confident that your remarks will have caused a very large number of people to think again about these wars. And John Lennon and Yoko responded to that, and there is proof of this. He sent Bertrand, John and Yoko sent Bertrand and his wife Edith a Christmas hamper at the end of '69 with a note. And I've got a photograph of that as well. I think I sent it to you guys as well. And the note reads, "Thank you for your good wishes. It helped a lot. With love, John Lennon and Yoko Ono Lennon." And then shortly after that, in January 1970, and I think this is shortly before Bertrand Russell died. This is the year he died. One of the last ever letters that he sent in his life, and this is according to the archives of that so-called Bertrand Russell Peace Foundation. One of the last letters he sent was a letter to John and Yoko thanking them for the Christmas hamper. So it would appear that Bertrand Russell was hanging around in the background. And I've got a quote here from John Lennon. This is from his website, his official website. He says, "The Biafran public relations people said what I did was of great use. Bertrand Russell thought it was of great use as well." So, yeah.
I mean, imagine being, say, John Lennon, right? And he's coming out with statements like the world's run by maniacs, not knowing that your wife and Bertrand Russell are the maniacs.
Yeah. So the song Imagine, you've got some of the lyrics of that, because it's accused of being a one world order anthem. So just to remind ourselves of some of the lyrics: imagine there's no countries, it isn't hard to do, nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Well, that's Bertrand Russell, isn't it? That's basically what Bertrand Russell was saying. Yeah. And I've got a transcript here of a quote from an interview that John Lennon, where he talks about the song. This is what he said the song was about. He said, "If you can imagine a world of peace, if you can imagine a world with no denominations of religion, not without religion, whatever religion is, but without this divisive 'my God is bigger than your God' business, then if you can imagine the possibility, if you can imagine it, then it can be true. The World Church called me once and wanted to say in their publicity, they said, can we use the lyrics and just change it to imagine one religion?' So that showed that they didn't understand it at all. It would defeat the whole purpose of the song, the whole idea. It's one world, one people, and it's a statement as well as a wish. We're one world, one people, whether we like it or not. We can pretend we're divided into races and countries, and we can carry on pretending that until we stop doing it." The thing is, my question is, was he saying that from a genuinely loving place within his heart? Did he actually mean, when he says one world, he was thinking of it as we should just stop hating each other and just acknowledge the fact that we're all human beings and we should, just be nice to one another, because we share this world, whatever happens. Or, maybe that's what he was genuinely thinking. He was coming at it from a loving perspective, but he had Yoko Ono on his back and Bertrand Russell, who were coming at it from the one world order direction.
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever heard Yoko Ono speak.
Oh, right. You haven't?
No,
it's got a very, very quiet voice, very squeaky, quiet voice. Now, here's the thing, right? No, you don't apologize. No, it's good to stop me from prattling on. But here's the thing, right? That when the song came out in 1971, it was credited to John Lennon. But if you look at the credits now, if you look up the song Imagine and look at who wrote it, it's credited to John and Yoko. Okay?
Right.
Because shortly before he died, in 1980, in one of the last interviews he gave, he said that the song was actually inspired by Yoko Ono.
Inspired?
Who's a witch?
Inspired.
You don't deserve a credit here for being inspired.
unless she wrote the whole bloody thing. And he said the lyrics. He said he got the lyrics from a book that he'd read of Yoko's that came out in 1964 called Grapefruit, and it's a book. You can find it online, actually. I wouldn't call it poetry, but it's a book of collections of prose. Is that the right word? I don't know.
Musings.
Shite.
Musings. Yeah. Shite. Yeah. Bilge. It is weird.
Collection of shite.
A collection of 60s shite.
A collection of a collection of CIA-sponsored avant-garde bilge. So every page, they're very short passages. It calls on the reader to imagine, right, a scenario.
Right.
Yeah, it is bilge, in my opinion. Here's one. It's called Tuna Sandwich Piece, right? Imagine 1,000 suns in the sky at the same time. Let them shine for 1 hour. Then let them gradually melt into the sky. Make one tuna fish sandwich and eat. That's that, right? And here's another one.
1,000 points. Is that 1,000 points of lights? Reference.
Right, and here's another piece of CIA shite. This one's called Drinking Piece for One Orchestra. Imagine letting a goldfish swim across the sky. Let it swim from the west to the east. Drink a litre of water. Imagine letting a goldfish swim across the sky. Let it swim from the east to the west.
It's so deep.
It's so deep, man. I can't get my head around that.
It's shite.
I don't understand is where did the inspiration come from? By reading that, how did John Lennon think, imagine a one world?
We just took one word, didn't it?
We just took one word. Yeah. That's right.
That's the inspiration.
You know,
how about this? How about this? Look, love, that's shite.
Dom always calls me a limp-wristed arty-farty fucker, right? But one thing I've never been able to get my head around, except for some of it, but when it, I think the deeper it gets, the shitier it gets with poetry. Very basic poetry is all right, but
it is. I like basic poetry,
but I do struggle. I struggle with poetry and performance dance. I can get behind most of their art forms. Expressionist performance dance.
That Fatboy Slim stuff.
I can watch it.
Yeah.
What the fuck you doing? Yeah. And poetry as well. I can watch. I can get behind most.
But it's like you were talking about the paint splat. It's obviously again going back to that. We're talking about that school, what they call
Darmstadt School.
The Darmstadt School. That stuff. That's what all that crap was about.
Yeah, well, it's like the clip we played in the previous episode of
helicopters.
The helicopters, playing cellos in a helicopter.
But even like the old beat movement as well. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that if you don't like Jack Kerouac on the road, that means you're thick as fuck. Then if you don't like, you've got to like it, haven't you? You've got to like Jackson Pollock and these avant-garde artists. You've got, if you don't like them in the same
How
music.
How clever is that though, Chris? How clever!
It's amazing, isn't it?
That is proper. I won't say it's genius because you're throwing billions of pounds and media and stuff like that. But you are changing people's thought process.
Yeah. Oh well, if I don't like Tracy Emin's fucking bed with a gist stain on it, that makes me stupid.
Yeah,
so I must like.
I've got to like it. Yeah,
just in bed.
It's amazing. Every bed's like that.
Yeah, you've got to enjoy
with an old Johnny on it. Yeah.
You've got to like that bed with an old Johnny on it. Otherwise, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
They do it with films as well, don't they? This is an important film.
Oh yeah.
This is an important song. It's not important. It's a slice of entertainment.
Yes. But they take it to that next place, don't they? Even with sport, they do the same. He's a genius at boxing.
Yeah,
let's get it straight. He's a genius at smashing somebody's head in. Right.
The most basic thing that a man can do is fight another man.
Yeah,
and he's a
genius at that. Yeah, genius. Yeah, he put so much thought into breaking that guy's face,
smashing that guy's face in. I mean, I know he does, and there is that argument, but you know what I mean.
They're not geniuses, are they? Mike brought that up in the one of the Doors ones. The clip of the trailer, it kept flashing up "Genius" for Jim Morrison, didn't it? And again, they're not geniuses, are they?
No.
These people
we're told, like the Bertrand Russell, we're told who's a genius. We're told what's a genius film, or who's a genius actor, or who's a genius artist, like Jackson Pollock or whatever.
Jackson Pollock.
I mean, to be fair, I don't mind these things as a thing to look at. But if you take that and compare it to someone who can paint, like Lucian Freud, you know, where he's actually got genuine genius talent at painting a human figure.
The basic principles.
Yeah.
the basic principles of.
But we're told that then that's not good enough. You've got to be Tracy Emin or Jackson Pollock. You've got to create shit, and if you don't appreciate it, you're an idiot.
And not that. How can they be a genius when they're working for intelligence services? That's not genius work. Anyway, I know we're going off again, aren't we? But
well, we're not really, because this is the avant-garde, and this is what John Lennon and Yoko Ono were mixed
selling.
up in, and the Ashes, the Indica Gallery, and the bookshop. I mean, the way I've always thought about, and I'm not saying this is a fact, this is just my musing on it, but when you talk about quote unquote modern art and the avant-garde in music, for example, if you think it's called atonal music, which is another word, I suppose, for some might say tuneless dirge, atonal. Okay, if you listen to a lot of this stuff, it's things like this. Actually, this is what one of Yoko Ono's things that she did with John Cage, this alleged CIA asset. One of her performances was, I can't remember the name of it. I've got it.
That was the guy who was at the
Darmstadt School.
Darmstadt School, and the guy that we're talking about earlier, the Fluxus guy, Shakespeare. Yeah.
He's regarded as the godfather of avant-garde music. And there's
before I forget, Matt. Sorry, before I forget, he was called Stephen Shakespeare. That's why. Right. Nadim Zahawi was the jab minister. The first guy that got jabbed was called Shakespeare.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
I was thinking that.
It's just again. I mean, come on, it's just that's true. That is. Yeah. Right,
Of course it is.
And Shakespeare's the guy who made up fictional.
Stories and characters. Okay. So one they John Cage and Yoko Ono collaborated. They were actually friends. And one of the pieces that they did was, it was a grand piano, and there would be 3 musicians, one of whom was John Cage. The other one was a guy called David Tudor, who's another, I think, avant-garde musician who's well known, but nowhere near as well known as John Cage, I suppose. And what Yoko Ono would do, it's a grand piano, so it's got the open lid. So she would lie on top of the piano with her hair draped over the edge of the piano, and the other 3 would get objects and hit them on the strings in a random way. Right, so you're getting visual art, but the point I'm trying to make here, apart from the fact that it's avant-garde bilge, is, can you imagine what the sounds would have been like of them hitting those strings?
Imagine if you bought a fucking ticket to go and see that. Excuse me. Can I have my money back, please? Sorry, thank you.
But it would have been dissonant, right? Dissonant sounds coming at you. And if you think of some of the disjointed, jagged modern art that you get, it's not something that the beauty of the beauty that the eye will behold. It's jagged. What is that doing to you on a vibrational level?
Yeah, another
to
level.
You,
yeah.
What's that?
Well, also, Matt, she's doing that performance with that other knobhead, and you're sat in the crowd clapping it, going, yeah, that was fucking amazing, but really secretly thinking that was a load of shite.
Yeah.
Just like 2020.
Yeah. I better clap just in case.
Applauding shite. Yeah. Not even mediocrity, as Dom says. Shite.
Yeah, like the helicopter thing.
But these things get investment. These things get in time, books written, magazine articles written about them.
And the CIA.
Art galleries in premium, bits of London or New York or wherever. Yeah.
So maybe it's not just a propaganda thing. During the so-called Cold War, America invested all the money into this stuff to show that they're more open-minded than the USSR. But maybe it was also a vibrational attack on us. It
is a spiritual war.
Our nervous systems, our physical health.
Because it does hurt your nervous system when you listen to that. It does upset your equilibrium. There's no doubt about that.
Yes. So maybe it was an attack on that level as well, like a mass scale MK Ultra. But physical as well, like affecting your very.
Well, remember that part you read out of Bertrand Russell, where he said, "Sound will be used to alter people's behaviour or whatever." Yeah, in tones. I mean, is that what he's talking about there?
Or maybe the '60s rock music was part of that. All the psychedelic stuff, which I love. I do love listening to it, but maybe certain generations who weren't used to that kind of music, and it sounds like it's come from another planet, having grown up in the 1940s, and and then you're in the 60s and you're middle-aged, and suddenly music's changed so dramatically, and it sounds nothing like what it did in the 40s.
But also, Matt, sorry, another SRA classic thing to do is total confusion of this is good, this is bad. This is evil. This is good. That
wear a mask. Don't wear a mask.
Yeah.
Don't stand 6 foot apart.
Oh, you're doing well now. You're doing well. No, I'm going to screw you again. No, you're doing well. No, I'm going to do you over again. That kind of back and forth is exactly what you're talking about, and that is literally what they used to
torture. It's torture.
SRA mind control. Yeah,
it's like
it's that classic good cop bad cop situation, I suppose. Is best.
Just a slight interlude here. I thought I'd add this video. And if you're listening on a podcast, this interlude is John Cage and David Tudor in Germany in 1963 giving a presentation, and you can hear in the background the music that Matt is talking about, and it's hypnotic, if you like, awful sounding, torturous sounding notes, and they're calling this music, by the way. They're talking like this is something highly intelligent that everybody needs to know. So you will have seen, if you're watching this, in the background, a video being played while we've been discussing that over the last couple of minutes, and the music behind it is John Cage and David Tudor's.
I am performing Variations 3, not as a musician, but as a lecturer, author, and one being interviewed.
Confusing the hell out of you, using your head like a spinning top.
Yeah.
So it just goes round and round. So you're just so dizzy. You don't know what the hell you're
beat
doing.
you up, then give you a cigarette, and then smash it out of your face. That's the mentality.
Before we wrap up this bit here, right? I know. I think we'll have to record the John Lennon ancestry at some other point, I reckon. Right?
Yeah.
We'll do another hour or so, probably 2 hours.
We'll do Yoko.
Yeah. We'll do Yoko if we have to.
You can.
Yeah. We'll finish Yoko off. Yeah.
All right. Before I do, and I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in my 50s now, but I saw some pictures of her when she was younger. And do you know what? She wasn't too bad.
Right,
when she was younger.
I'd have to see them pictures.
I know. She never floated my butt. Oh, she has big glasses and a massive hat on.
She terrifies me, I've got to say.
Yeah,
she terrifies me.
Yeah.
She got intensity written all over.
What I want to get is the school she went to in the US and her
and
bloodline. That's the bit I want to wrap up.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because the thing with Imagine, the song, that John Lennon admitted towards the end of his life that actually it was her idea, pretty much. It was only after and I might be wrong, if someone can correct me, and I'm sure they will, if I've got it wrong, but it was only after he died, some years after he died, that Imagine, the song, began getting picked up by the UN and being used as this anthem that you mentioned earlier, Dom, that it began being used like this unofficial anthem. Well, actually, an official anthem of the UN. Now, why did they wait until he died for that to happen? Is one question that maybe we should ask. Again, I'm not trying to defend the man, but I'm just wondering, why did they wait? Why did they wait?
Are there any incidents of him getting his death where he started sort of really breaking away from the I don't know, the shackles, the narrative? Is there anything there that, apart
also,
from that one
who
speech
had the
in the 60s? Yeah.
Who had the rights to the song? I would ask Matt.
Well, she would have it. This is the thing, you see. She would. Yeah, But when John Lennon died, if I'm not mistaken, she became head of the Lennon estate. So that meant she was in control of everything.
She cut Julian Lennon out.
Yeah, John Lennon's first son from his original marriage.
He had to sue her. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I'm a witch.
So that's a good point, because if Yoko Ono disagreed with the UN, having used Imagine quite a few times over the years, if she disagreed with that, she could have said, wait a minute, you haven't got permission to use this song.
Yeah.
So, but she hasn't.
Or John wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah.
Rights
exactly.
to everything, aren't they?
Yeah. So it was used in 2014 for UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, to launch what was called the Imagine Project.
Right. Maybe George Clooney launched it, and David Beckham. And
Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And having looked on, because I looked into this a few years ago, I looked into the song Imagine and how it was used by the UN. And at the time, UNICEF stated that the Imagine Project was a global initiative to bring about a better world for children.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then a year later in 2015, this Imagine Project used the song, to quote the UN, to influence world leaders and inspire collective action in advance of key global agenda setting meetings, such as UN meetings pertaining to so-called climate change and sustainable development. You know, the usual.
Imagine all the climate.
Living in harmony. The words that are coming back to me is, the world is run by maniacs. And now they're using me songs.
Yeah. And if you look online, actually, you'll find a picture. I might send it to you so you can put it in post-production.
Yeah.
Bit of shop talk there, hey, for professionals. There is a picture of Yoko at the UN. I don't know what she's speaking for or about.
She's dressed in black.
Yeah, probably, yeah. And then there's also the UN so-called International Day of Peace, which used the song Imagine in 2014. Yeah. So this is from 2014. So what is the International Day of Peace, you're probably not asking? Well, let's turn to the World Economic Forum's website to let us know, would you believe? According to the World Economic Forum, this International Day of Peace, which has sponsored Imagine, was established in 1981 by the United Nations General Assembly, known for short as UNGA, right? And it takes...
UNGA.
Yeah, they actually put that in the statement. You know, there's no irony at all. Yeah, so this takes place each year in September. A UN resolution declared it a day for commemorating and strengthening the ideals of peace within and among all nations and peoples. 20 years later, UNGA passed a second resolution designating the day as a time of non-violence and ceasefire, advocating for a cessation of hostilities, blah, 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 while promoting dialogue, blah, 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 and on it goes. Conflict resolution, blah, 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 peace education, blah, 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 and on it goes. And if that's not enough, as well as Imagine, there's also the Utopian National Anthem, or International Anthem, sorry. I don't know if you've heard of this. You can't literally hear it. It's on John Lennon's 1973 album Mind Games, right? The Utopian International Anthem is 4 seconds of silence. Right? So
more bollocks.
More bollocks. Yeah. More bollocks. So this is my way of thinking, right? I think that it's Utopia, right? This is the way having looked into it. I think it's a concept of Yoko's that a conceptual piece of art, right? A conceptual idea using art, conceptual art, to push through a particular agenda, that being a one world scenario. Okay. So So what Utopia is, and they actually announced this, John and Yoko actually announced this at a press conference, and you can find this online as well. It's a quote unquote conceptual country with no borders, right? So this is Yoko's idea. This is Yoko's conceptual idea. Utopia is a country with no borders. And they had a press conference about this and announced it on April 1st, 1973, right? And this is part of the announcement. You can find this online. I think you can actually find them reading the statement. They say Utopia has no land, no boundaries, no passports, only people. All people of Utopia are ambassadors of the country. So again, it's this imagine thing. Very agreeable with Bertrand Russell, I would say.
We announced the birth of a conceptual country, Utopia. Citizenship of the country can be obtained by declaration of your awareness of Utopia. Utopia has no land, no boundaries, no passports, only people. Utopia has no laws other than cosmic. All people of Utopia are ambassadors of the country. As two ambassadors of Utopia, we ask for diplomatic immunity and recognition in the United Nations for our country and its people.
What does the flag mean? What does the flag mean?
Surrender and submission.
And I should also point out, which I didn't mention it earlier, that the bed-in, and this is according to John Lennon, the bed-ins that they held, again, was Yoko's idea. And to paraphrase him, he said it was performance art that came directly from her.
Right.
So it's her using the avant-garde to push for a one world. Okay. So yeah, if we want to get into Yoko's background now.
Yeah, we'll just
also
Yoko,
I mentioned Tracy Edelman about the bed. How weird is that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Another thing I wrote down as well is when Bertrand Russell was talking about population culling and things like that. He never mentioned the Spanish flu, did he? Yeah, he lived through all that. Weird, that, isn't it? I lived through one of them that killed 100 million people. We just need another one.
No, 50 to 100 million.
Oh, sorry.
Don't exaggerate.
I'm making numbers. 500 million to 1 billion people it killed. Yeah.
Also, Matt, I was going to say, so she implanted Imagine in his head, the song, and then flash forward how many years, they're using it at the WEF, and she's there. Yeah. I mean, fucking hell. Talk about pre-planning. I mean, is that what we're looking at there? The pre-planning that Imagine is going to be a song.
Well, remember, a lot of these NGOs like WEF, Club of Rome, and things like that were all founded in the late 60s by the Rockefellers funding, and right at the edge of the counterculture or the end of the counterculture, where people had been turned off by it, not turned on.
Oh, what I mean is, Dom, was that song planned for when they used it in? Do you know what I mean? Was that the foresight there? Or were they tapping into the zeros and ones? I don't know. It's
the Matrix
weird,
zeros
isn't
and
it?
ones, yeah. So,
or are they just grabbing it?
Her bloodline and schools, Yoko's bloodline, is a prominent bloodline, Japanese bloodline, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it so I get it actually. It's there's a mixture of royalty and banking families and all the usual stuff.
You say
kamikaze pilots.
Samurai.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it.
I think most of the main bloodlines in Japan go back to samurais, to be fair, don't they? Do they?
I don't know. It's not something I've looked at, Chris, to be fair.
Well, I would guess from. I mean, I would guess from the manga I've read that it kind of is, though, isn't it? They're the old bloodline of Japan and the samurai.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I've got it typed out. So Yoko's grandfather, was a samurai, and he was a so-called self-made billionaire, if there is such a thing. Self-made billionaire. He founded the Yasuda Bank, which was one of the largest banks in Japan, so they say. It later became known as the Fuji Bank Limited. And Yoko has said that he was often described as Japan's version of J.P. Morgan. And her father had a high-rank position at the Yasuda Bank, so he worked for his in-laws, and is reported to have been a descendant of a Japanese emperor. Okay, so
I think a samurai you could equate to being a knight in Japan.
All right.
Terminology. Well, going back to the ancient version of a knight and the ancient version of a samurai, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I would imagine a modern day samurai is like a modern day someone who's got a knighthood.
Oh, right. Okay. So that is pretty big stuff then. Yeah. So yeah, she was born in Japan, and she moved to New York when she was in her late teens, early 20s. And here we go again. She moved to a town called Scarsdale, which I think is in New York. And I think the reason that she moved there was because her dad was working at a branch of the bank, and it was in Scarsdale, or it was near Scarsdale. But whatever the case, she moved to America from Japan, and she moved in with her dad, and it was Scarsdale was the HQ, if you want. And then she went to study at the Sarah Lawrence School, which is in New York as well. And would you believe it? Linda Eastman, later to become Mrs. Linda McCartney, just happened to have been born in Scarsdale, where she lived in her younger years and as a child.
Of all the places.
Of all the places, yeah. She lived there as a child and as a teenager. And guess what college she went to in the 1950s? The Sarah Lawrence School. So of all the places that Yoko Ono could have gone to in America, of all the places, she went to Scarsdale, this very place where Linda Eastman, later Linda McCartney.
So let's get this straight, right? She actually knew both of Paul McCartney's girlfriends at different times, because she met John Lennon at Peter Asher's Indica gallery, and she went to school with Linda McCartney.
Yeah. So what happened was John Lennon met Yoko Ono at this. The official story is John Lennon met Yoko Ono at the Indica, this shop that was run.
And we're supposed to be conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is what I mean. It's just so. Yeah, I mean, whichever way you want to go with it. Yeah, he's meant to, according to the official version of events, he met her in November '66 at an art show that she was holding at the Indica, which is this Indica Art Gallery, which was run by John Dunbar, who was one of the three partners who, between them, ran the Indica Art Gallery and the Indica Bookshop. And the Indica Bookshop was situated in Bloomsbury in London, which is where Bertrand Russell's flat was, and where the Tavistock Clinic was first based. It was in that region of London, Bloomsbury. That's where the Indica Bookshop was. She didn't meet John Lennon there. She met him at the gallery, which was elsewhere in London, in Mason's Yard. It was called
Mason's Yard. Yeah,
called Mason's Yard. That's where she met John Lennon. And so how that happened was, so John Dunbar, who was one of the partners of the Indica, we mentioned it in the last episode. He's an ex-Cambridge University student, and his father works during World War II for the British government's Foreign Office as the deputy head of the Inter-Allied Information Office in Mexico and the Caribbean, and he was also head of press, public and cultural relations at the British Embassy in Moscow. So basically, he was dealing in government propaganda. And before the war, or should I say during the war, but before he took on those posts, he'd also worked at the British government's Department for Propaganda in London, which was based again in Bloomsbury in London. And this was set up during the Second World War, just only for the Second World War, specifically to deal with British government propaganda. Now, that building, George Orwell's first wife worked in that Department for Propaganda.
Yeah.
During the war.
Eileen O'Shaughnessy.
Yes. And the Ministry of Truth in the book 1984 is based on that building where John Dunbar worked.
Do you know the strange thing is, that poem that Yoko Ono wrote called Imagine, or whatever it was called, Grapefruit. Eileen O'Shaughnessy wrote a book called wrote a poem called 1984 before meeting George Orwell.
Oh.
This
just seems, yeah.
There's a full story to that.
Yeah, there just seems to be a recurring things happening before there. Yeah. So this Indica Gallery, so it was partly run by Peter Asher, who is Bertrand Russell's basically his uncle. But Peter Asher is the nephew of Bertrand Russell. So this is where John Lennon was first introduced to Yoko Ono. And according to John Dunbar himself in an interview he gave, it was his idea to introduce John to Yoko. It was his idea to make this happen. Had he not have done so, then they might have not have. He most likely wouldn't have attended that art exhibition.
But the link to like Peter Asher being involved, and I know he said he's invited them, but Paul McCartney was funding some of the
he was
gallery, weren't he? So,
he was backing it. He was
while he was living with Jane Asher and Peter Asher.
Yeah, he was financially backing it. He was even when before the shop opened in Mason's Yard in '65, I think it was. He claims he was painting it. He was the weeks before it opened. He was helping to paint the shop and put the carpentry up and everything. He was that involved with the shop, and they were all supporting the shop. All the Beatles were supporting the shop. They would talk about it in interviews and stuff. Apparently, so they were really, gunning for it. Really helping it. They were basically this is the most commercial, most influential band ever promoting an avant-garde project. Because that's what the Indica was. It promoted the avant-garde.
Wasn't there some weird story, Matt, of how he met? Didn't he go up a ladder or something? And there's something.
Yeah, there's something like that. Yeah,
something weird about how he got introduced to Yoko Ono.
That's the story, isn't it? Again, if it's true or
like
not.
Naked Gun. Nice badger.
Beaver, like beaver.
Nice beaver. Yeah.
What was the story though, Matt? Did he go up a ladder? Was it an art piece?
Something like that. I think it was.
Was that the art piece? The ladder you had to climb.
That's
and it had a name at the top or something weird.
Right,
no,
really?
it was. How do I remember it?
I
bet you could actually insert the clip here, where he's actually talking about it because he mentioned it many times. But I think it was something like he walked up a ladder. There was a part of the exhibition was a ladder.
But that sounds ritualistic. It sounds almost
like go up this ladder to enter your next phase of your life kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he walked up the ladder and he says at the top of the ladder, I think there was a magnifying glass hung onto the ceiling, and there was a tiny, tiny, tiny word on the ceiling that you could hardly see with the naked eye.
Bollocks.
It was bilge.
Comedy penis.
All right, let's disconnect that. We'll come back to.
Hang on a minute. What was at the top of the ladder in your opinion?
He got the magnifying glass and he looked through it and it said yes.
Right.
He said, paraphrasing, he said, had it have said no or piss off or buy my new book or something like that, I would have walked straight out of the exhibition. But because it said something positive, he thought, okay, I'll hang around and watch the rest of the exhibition.
And then he met Yoko Ono.
I'd have walked out of the exhibition that I've been promoting for the last 6 months. Yeah, of course you would.
Well, and here's the creepy thing, right? I've just remembered that after they met that day, Cynthia Lennon, who was John Lennon's first husband, claimed
first wife.
Wife, yeah. Sorry.
Who knows?
Maybe right. Who knows? Who knows?
You might have just tapped into something then, Matt.
Exactly.
Found something out.
No wonder she cut Julian out at will. Maybe we'll call Julie.
Julia. Yeah. Maybe that was the Matrix plugging into my brain there. Somewhere.
Yeah. We'll have to look at her. Maybe it's a geezer.
Look at him. Yeah. But she claimed she claimed, right? Sure claimed that after John and Yoko met at that exhibition, Yoko started stalking John Lennon. Like she would start sending him letters. And
I was already thinking that when you were on about the fact that she went to the same school as Linda. I'm thinking every time he looked round, did you see like this fucking black figure in glasses go?
She would stand outside the house. Apparently, according to Cynthia Lennon, she would stand outside the house where John Lennon was living with his child and his wife, and she would just stand hanging around.
I am a witch.
Outside the gates. Yes, I am a witch.
Everything you've talked about there, Matt, just goes back to I am a witch.
I know what. I'll go out with that stalker.
Yeah.
I'm leaving you, Cynthia, because you're a man. I'm going out with that stalker instead.
That weird Japanese bird hanging around bottom of the street with big glasses.
With them ladders.
Ladders. Fucking samurai swords.
Yeah. All right.
So,
okay, before this descends into chaos, we wrap up this part one of Who is Yoko Ono, part of the Asher's Addendum series that we've been doing with Matt Sergiou. I'm sure you'll agree it's very interesting. And in fact, in part 2, which is a little longer than this, I think it's about an hour and a half, we're getting to Yoko Ono's mental side of her life. She was put into a mental institute when she was younger. And yeah, Matt has done some really good research on this side. I'm sure will lead us down to feeling sorry for Yoko, dare I say. A lot of times people have said that she was a controlling element in John's life and a disrupting element in the Beatles. But I've got to say, we all said that we can show some compassion with Yoko with probably what she went through, especially when you connect her bloodline as well to this. And we know there's a lot of ritualistic SRA going on. And yeah, okay, well, we'll see you in part 2.